tell everyone about the fact that I'm streaming. We'll get started in just a moment, everybody. It's going to be a little boring for a moment. You're just going to watch me clicking, staring. Okay, I think we're just about ready. Let me get over to the stream myself. There we go. Okay. Thanks for joining me today. Okay, I think we're just about ready. Let me an analysis for a new client. His business is called SpectrumX, and he is a business coach who is interested in, well, he's interested in SEO, of course. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to, so I offer these SEO analyses as a service, and I'm going to be putting the whole thing together on camera. So if you have any questions about SEO, about the process, about anything else to do with search engines or even web marketing in general, feel free to ask them in the comments. Happy to answer any questions you have. So anyway, let's get started. So the first step to what I'm going to be doing here today is keyword research. So first of all, the first step in doing an SEO analysis is to find out how valuable it's going to be to do SEO for this guy in the first place, because I'm confident I can rank a website at the top of Google. I've done it before. I can do it again. But the question is, how many people are there that are searching for someone who does what he does? And so that's part of what we're going to find out here today. How valuable is it going to be for him to do an SEO plan? It could be that there are hundreds and maybe even thousands of people a month searching for someone who does what he does, in which case that's amazing. Being at the top of Google can make a really big difference for his business. It's also possible that there's maybe a dozen, 2 dozen a month. And at that point, it sometimes isn't really worth as much. So that's something we have to get a better idea about. And so that's why I start with keyword research. So I have a few different keyword tools that I use to find out what the keywords are. But for when I do these analyses, I generally use free keyword tools. And there's a simple reason for that. First of all, what I'm doing here is I like to call it a reconnaissance mission. So it's not as much focused on getting laser specific on the keywords. It's more about what kind of a general idea we can get about who's looking for his business. So there's that, but also I want you guys as much as possible at home to be able to do this yourselves. And so, using free tools as much as possible, I'm able to do that. So let's start with the keywords because that's where you have to start. Um, so I'm going to be using Google AdWords Keyword Planner. This is, as I mentioned, a free tool. You can feel free to head over to Google Ads. It's just ads.google.com. And you can sign up for a Google AdWords account, and they'll give you access to their keyword planner. So this is geared toward keywords for Google AdWords, but it does give us a really good idea about traffic in general. And so it's not perfect, but it's a pretty good indication of what sort of traffic is available in a niche. So let's get started. So we're going to start by saying discover new keywords. So first of all, we have to decide on the geographic location. And Phil is located in Stratford, Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge. That's the area that he wants to target. Okay, so we're going to get rid of Canada-wide because that's not going to help us. So we're going to want to do Stratford, Ontario, Kitchener, Waterloo, and Cambridge, Ontario. There we go. Okay, so we could also throw Guelph in there because maybe it's a little too far for him. We could add the surrounding areas as well. So we could do St. Mary's, Mitchell, Milverton, New Hamburg, etc. I don't imagine there's going to be a ton of traffic coming from those smaller locations. So, but I often do that if we're doing Toronto, for example. So some of my clients will want to do the GTA. And if that's the case, we'll hit Toronto, Etobicoke, North York, Scarborough, of course, but also Markham, Richmond Hill, Vaughan, Mississauga, sometimes as far west as Pickering or even Oshawa, and sometimes as far east as Burlington. But this should give us a pretty good idea. People in Shakespeare looking for business coaches, but hey, you never know. But anyway, we're going to start with these. So that should give us a pretty good, and that's about 1 million people anyway, a little bit more. So that should be a good idea to start with. So we'll do those. Now, if we go back to, this is a pre-analysis questionnaire that the client filled out for me. So I ask what some of the general search terms he wants to be found for are, and he says he doesn't know, and that's fair. I mean, that's why he's paying me. I'm asking that as kind of like a bouncing off point, but he also gives me these: business coaching, entrepreneur coaching, team coaching, and leadership coaching. And those are a great place to start off with keywords anyway. So I'm going to go back to this spicy boy here, and I'm going to drop those in. Okay. Team coaching, comma, leadership coaching, comma. So we might want to just do business coach, business mentor might be a good one. Okay, so that gives us a starting off point. So it's going to take these keywords and it's going to take these locations and it's going to find everything that it thinks are related to, it's going to find the results for these 6, but also any keywords that it thinks are related to them as well. And then from there, it will give us what's going on in these geographic regions as well. So this is an English speaking area, so we stick with English. So I'm going to click get results and it'll take a moment. I'm going to put some chapstick on. Oh, business consulting services. That's a good one too. So we'll add that to the mix. We'll hit get results again. So that gives us 1,130 different keyword ideas. So we're going to sort those top to bottom. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to select all of them and click add keywords. What this does is it adds the keywords to a plan. And then we come over to where it says keywords. Changes have been saved. Yeah, we know. Anytime now. Come on. There we go. Okay, so all this information, this is geared toward running an AdWords campaign, which we're not doing. So this is not really beneficial. We don't care. However, what we'll do is we will select all, and then we will download them as a CSV. CSV stands for comma separated values. It's like the old school version of Microsoft Excel. So now what Google AdWords is going to do is it creates this keyword forecast for us. So that opened on my other screen, so we're coming back. And it gives us a lot of data, most of which we don't need to worry about. And so I'm going to go through this and delete a lot. So we don't need all of this, because again, this is geared toward an AdWords campaign, which is not what we're doing. So most of the data is irrelevant, but some of it is, some of it's good. So clicks, impressions, cost. Okay. So all these guys, get rid of them. And actually, we don't need clicks either. Don't need these. Okay, so, and then let's just turn this into a table, just because it's a little nicer to look at. And you know what? I'm going to choose the color orange because I like the color orange. Damn it. Clicked the wrong thing. Okay. There we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sort these by impressions. What's an impression? An impression is it's the number of times you could expect someone to see your website if it was at the church. And so that's not exactly what, oh, my stream has been interrupted. There we go. Looks like I'm back. Sorry about that. Yes, so impressions is not exactly the number of searches per month, but Google has kind of changed things and made it a little more difficult to get access to that information. And so now we just use estimated impressions, which is close enough. Because we don't need to know exactly how many searches a month there are. We just need to know roughly how much traffic we're looking at. So, okay, so let's take a look. So now here's the labor-intensive part. I need to go through all of these keywords and find the ones that are relevant, the ones that are not relevant in one part. I say that with as much irony as I can muster because I hate this part. So please ask me some questions and keep my brain occupied while I go through all this. IT consulting, no. And I'm also going to highlight in green what the most relevant keywords are. Looks like my stream keeps getting interrupted. Just a moment. Anything cool on this end? Oh, looks like I'm back. Okay. Yes. Coaching, yep. Why am I wearing sunglasses? Because I have a bit of a headache today. That's the reality. Yeah, so leadership coaching, yep. Executive coaching, yep. Consulting, company consulting. Let's search that. IT consulting, no, that's not him. Management, no. Management and consulting. No. Business and consulting. Little broad, but okay. Business consulting business. Right? Business management consulting. CEO coaching, sure. Customer service consulting, I don't think so. Small business consulting, heck yes. Business mentoring service, yep. Business plan consulting, I think so. The coaching leader. So that sounds like the title of a book or something. I'm going to leave it in there because it does seem relevant, but not quite. Leadership playbook, same deal. So that's maybe not something we want to target, except maybe to write a blog article and say, like review of the leadership playbook or something like that. I don't know. Not a super high value one, but not entirely worthless. Company consultancy, sure. Executive coaching. Starting a consulting business, I don't think so, because he's already started a consulting business. The business coach, sure. Your business mentor, yes. Corporate consulting, I don't know. We'll leave that one blank. Executive coaching, yes. Leadership and coaching, sure. Product management consultant, no. Startup mentor, he's mentioned startups, yep. Business coach for women, I don't see why not. A business coach, sure. Business and consulting, sure. Business coaches for entrepreneurs, yes. Business coaching companies, yes, yes. Yes. Executive leadership coaching, yes. Not female. Leaders as coaches, interesting term. Leadership coaching cost. So we never want to target cost related keywords because the people going after cost related keywords are, obviously they're shopping around for costs. So in general, I don't like sending those types of leads to my clients because they're usually cheap. And I don't like sending cheapos. I like sending people who will spend money because the more people spend money with my clients, the more they're willing to pay me. So anyway, marketing consultant, no. Product management, no. Sure, that's a great one. Sure, nope. BBC consulting, no. Yeah, that's a great one. Leadership. Maybe. Financial consulting firms, no. John Maxwell coaching, that sounds like a specific brand, so we'll get rid of that. Leadership mentoring, yeah. Marketing consultant, no. Top 5 management consulting firms. We'll leave that there. Top advisory company, top coaching companies, sure. Valuation consultant, no, that's something different. Okay, so that's all of the ones I'm going to go through. Now you may be thinking, but oh my God, Sophie, there are all these other keywords to take a look at. Yes, there are. Get out of here. But as you can see, they all have 0 impressions a month. So I leave them in there. They are worthwhile to a certain extent. And there's a few reasons for that. So there's something called a long tail keyword, and then there's a short tail keyword. So for example, business coach would be a short tail keyword versus top 5 management consulting firms. That is more of a long tail keyword. And you want to target a mix of both. First of all, because long tail keywords tend to be less competitive. They also tend to have less traffic, but that's okay because, if I rank my client at the top of Google for a keyword that has 100 searches a month, that's 100 new people a month that are seeing his brand, which is usually pretty good for my clients. That's not to say that's the only keyword we're targeting, but that's why it's nice to have a mix of short tail and long tail keywords. Um, so for example, top 5 management consulting firms is the long tail keyword. As you can see, there's not that many impressions, but management consulting is a short tail keyword that has more traffic. So when we target top 5 management consulting firms, we're targeting the long tail as well as the short tail at the same time. How is that relevant to these 0 impressions keywords? Well, because it can give us some ideas for long tail keywords. So I'm not going to go through all of them because you can see some of them are irrelevant, like 76ers coach. That's nowhere near relevant, but I don't care. It's a tool to use. At some point, we might use it later, we might not, but I'm not going to bother going through it. So anyway, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort our directly relevant keywords and our broadly relevant, but not as relevant. Okay, so now we've got our directly relevant keywords. And what we're going to do is we want to take a look at impressions as well as cost. Um, and so I've sorted these in order by impressions, but also by cost because the more expensive a keyword costs, the more competitive it is. So this gives us an opportunity to find not just how many people are searching, but how competitive that keyword is. So I've sorted them in order here, and you can see usually they go in order more or less of um, cost versus impression, but not always. So you can see the top bid, business consulting, that's the top one, 609, we'll say 610 impressions a month. It also costs about 27 bucks per click. Um, that's a lot. Um, so that's decently competitive. Depends on the niche as well. I've seen clicks cost thousands of dollars for a single click, but those are in niches where the average client is worth 50 grand. So, it's not a big deal to spend 30 grand to make 50 grand if you have the 30 grand in the first place. But from here, and I notice there's a lot of people watching, but not a lot of people asking questions. So please feel free to ask a question in the chat box here on the stream. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has. Um, that's half the reason why I do these in the first place. Anyway, so what we're looking at more or less is a correlation between the impressions and the cost, but not always. So for example, um, this keyword, leadership coaching, has more impressions than executive coaching, but it also has it's cheaper. Um, so that means, oh my God, pardon me. That means I just ate lunch and I had some minestrone soup, so it's kind of rebelling against me. Anyway, you're not tuned in to hear my exciting tales about lunch. You're here for SEO. That's what I'm going to give you. So basically, what we're looking at, these are the top 5 keywords. Business consulting, coaching business consulting services, business coaching, and leadership coaching. And these are not terribly surprising keywords. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over to our document and I'm going to enter them in here. Does anyone have any questions about keywords, about how keywords work, about how to find relevant keywords for your business? Drop them in the comments. Happy to help. Great. Okay, so the last thing we need to get is the total number of impressions. Also, I have to save this thing. Let me save it in the right folder, and I'm going to drag this over to my other screen so you don't see all the other client stuff that I have on my computer. Don't want to open myself up to industrial espionage after all. I know there's some unscrupulous folks out there who might be interested in ruining me. Okay, so AutoSum 4929.65. 49.65. That's a decent number of searches. So if you imagine in your business, let's say your niche has an equal number of searches. Let's just say 5,000, just for simplicity's sake. You've got 5,000 searches a month for someone who's looking for someone who does what you do. If you had 5,000 searches a month in your niche, and let's say you were able to close 1% of those 5,000 people, that's 50 new clients a month. What sort of a difference would that make in your business? If you had 50 new clients a month, what would that do for you? Pretty powerful stuff, I gotta say. I love SEO. I think it's the coolest stuff. Okay, so that's that for the keywords. Of course, feel free to ask any questions about the keywords you have. I'm happy to help. 5,000 people. That's 50 new clients a month. It looks like I'm really struggling with my connection here. Can anybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? Drop a message in the chat if you can hear me okay. I'd hate to think I'm just speaking into the void. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is find out who the top competitors are. So let's see. So how do we find out who the top competitors are? Let me open a new notepad. There are some tools that will allow you to do this. But again, I want you guys to be able to do it yourself. I want to be able to, I want y'all to be able to do this for free. And so that's what I'm gonna do. So let's start. Let's go back to the keywords that we have. So these are the top 5 keywords for him. So I'm going to drop those in a list, and I'm going to make a second list because that's how we do it. So when you do a Google search, there are a few factors that Google takes into consideration. First of all is your geographic location. And then also your search history and whether or not you are logged in on your browser. And so we're going to mitigate each of those factors in a few different ways. First of all, I'm using a clean install of Firefox. So every time I start it, it wipes my history, but I'm going to do it again anyway. To do it manually, I'm going to completely wipe everything so it does not know. Okay, so so it's a totally wiped browser. I'm also not logged in. So I'm going to start by using my home IP address, and then I'm going to use something called a VPN, which I know a lot of you are familiar with because if you live in Canada like me and you like to watch American Netflix, VPN is a great way to do that. So that's what I use. So we're going to start, and we're just going to do a simple Google search for business consulting, Stratford, Ontario. Okay, so that's going to give us some stuff. Okay, so it's going to give us stratfordmanagers.com. And so what we want to do is we want to start seeing who's ranking and where. So we'll do stratfordmanagers.com and then a Facebook page, and then a Chamber of Commerce, Yellow Pages. This is good news for him so far. And then P, BDC, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Perth, CFDC.ca. Mississauga, Stratford, Direct. Indeed. Okay. So it looks like he only has a single competitor on the homepage right now, which bodes very well for him. Where's the button to go to page 2? Just a moment. Where's the button to go to page 2 on Google? Normally it's at the bottom here. I don't know. Let's see if we can find it. Maybe it was just that result. Okay, no, there are other results. That's very strange. There is no page 2 for this search. All right. Okay, so we can't see. Oh, there are 9 results. That's why. There are 9 search results for business consulting Stratford. But we saw for business consulting, there is a ton of traffic. 610 searches a month, and Google could only serve us up 9 results, and none of them are relevant. Okay, so that means SpectrumX is nowhere to be found. So that probably means he's not going to be found anywhere. So that means that's bad news for him because he's not showing up anywhere. But it's also good news. Oh, there we go. Okay, he is showing up. All right. So let's see. Stratford Chamber again. I know I spelled Stratford wrong, but I don't care. And right. Next. CFDC.ca. Stratford Managers. Managers again. Libro. Psychology Today. I'm going to have a hard time finding competitors for this guy. Okay, so usually when I do one of these, I don't go past page 1 except to look for my client's webpage. But I mean, there's no competitors for him. My God, this guy could dominate his niche. This guy could absolutely dominate it. Michael Stratford. This guy's name is Michael Stratford. I feel like he's not going to be in Stratford. Area code 949. I don't know where that is, but it's not. Oh my God, he's in California. Okay. There is nobody in the coaching business. Consulting service. Okay, Stratford managers. I don't know if I'm going to have to do the second search because I just can't find anybody, period. I don't know if he has any direct competition. I'm blown away right now, y'all. I've never seen I've never seen a niche this wide open. If there's any Stratford business coaches right now, um, you got to do some stuff here. Um, It's going to be a little boring for the next little while. I'm sorry, y'all. That's why everyone has dropped off the stream at this point because it's boring. But that's okay. I get it. Um, so honestly, like Stratford Managers is doing okay. Um, Stratford Perth Center for Business. That seems like a competitor. Hello to the new folks who just hopped on. Feel free to ask any questions you like in the chat box. So overall, Google likes to rank small businesses or local businesses over anything else. So the fact that they're ranking things like Yellow Pages, a Facebook page, this is another business directory, etc. Like this, it means they don't have much else. So I'm just taking notes right now on what I'm trying to find this guy some competition. Community Futures, Business Center. I'm not going to do BDC. That's just not relevant enough. Maybe Perth Community Futures. This is coaching. Take a closer look at that. And there he is. He ranks pretty highly already. Here, what is this? Is this like a community page? Oh, it's a job search board for the area. So Stratford Managers is clearly his biggest competitor, but they're still not that strong. So we'll just put over there. SpectrumX. Okay. yeah, I'm not going to bother with the second round because we're just not finding many competitors, period. Managers again. So it looks like Stratford managers, all of you, and Perth CFDC, but they're not even really a competitor. But at the same time, there's nothing else I can do. Michael Stratford, this guy's showing up again. This guy's in California. Parachute executive coaching, so they're not in Stratford either. Wow, okay. I gotta take a look at this one again. Marketing agency. No, it's not a marketing agency. He's not a marketer. We're not looking for a marketing agency. So we want to be looking for Stratford managers, with CFDC, all of you, and SpectrumX. So they're buying ads. So, but then again, they're a government. It looks like they're a government agency, so they might be getting those for free. So they're not showing up anywhere. All right. All of you is a wellness center, and they do life coaching, not business coaching. And that's all the copy they have. Oh my God, this guy is, it is going to be an absolute no-brainer to get him ranked. That this, if he decides to go with me, it's going to be the easiest project. It's going to be the easiest ranking I can imagine. Okay, so I'm going to scroll. Where do I have the? I don't even have it here. Okay. I'm going to have to bring this in from another analysis that I've done. This is missing part. I don't need to hide it because I did this entire analysis on a stream as well. So if you're interested, head over to the YouTube channel and take a look. Okay. So here we are with what I'm doing here is this is the I'm going to show where he ranks for his keywords and where his competition ranks. And his competition is trash. Trash, but also non-existent. So let's let's see here. Okay, so terms that we're going to use. We've got stratfordmanagers.com. allofyou.ca and perthcfdc.ca. And bloody hell, this is something. Okay, so business consulting, Stratford managers is, move this to my other screen so I can see. They are coaching business. So he's ranking well, but inconsistently, you see. So coaching business, he's ranked super well, but business consulting, he is nowhere to be found. Okay, Stratford managers. 6. All of you, again, nowhere to be found. CFTC. 5. Okay, business consulting service. Nowhere. Okay. Business coaching. Stratford managers. 6. All of you is page 5. And purpose. Spot 4. Okay. Leadership coaching. Page 1, spot 4. Page 1, spot 3. And nowhere to be found. Okay. So this is where these are his, I don't even want to say top competitors, because they're not really his competitors, but I mean, they're his competitors from search ranking perspective. So they're the ones that are getting traffic that he could be getting. So let's highlight the ones that are not really great ranking. So what basically my criteria is, if you're in the top 3 spots, you're in good shape, and if you're not, then you're not. And I'll quickly show you why after I'm done making all these highlights here. Wrong shade of green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll back up here to the beginning here. What is it? Okay, so this is a chart put together by this, third-party company called Chitika. And it's showing the amount of traffic that's going to each spot on Google. So this is not page 1, page 2, page 3. It's spot 1, spot 2, spot 3. So even if you're at spot 2 in Google, and you go up to spot 1, you can like almost double your traffic. What's that, like 17 versus 33? That's 17 times 2 is 34. So yeah, you pretty much double your traffic by going from spot 2 to spot 1. Spot 3 to spot 2 is a big jump as well. And so if you're on those top 3 spots, you're going to get a decent amount of traffic. If you're not, you get diminishing returns as you go lower and lower and lower. You might be like, oh, well, it doesn't matter because I'm on page 1, I'm on spot 7, but that's okay. I'm still on page 1, right? I'm going to get a lot of clicks. Not really. You can get like 4% of the clicks on page 7. And then on page 2, you're nowhere. The only time I get excited for a client being on page 2 is if a few months ago, they were on page like 78. And then I'm like, yeah, look, it looks great. Like we're moving in the right direction. But it's not the point that's going to bring you new business. Anyway, so yeah, let me know if you have any questions about that. These are his top competitors. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to drop them into here. Spoiler alert, this is what these are some of the things that we're going to be looking at. Evaluate business. Okay, so now we understand, obviously we understand who the client website is, and we also understand what search terms they ought to be targeting, and we also understand who their top competitors are. So now that we have a fairly good idea, so he's ranking okay, but not great, and he's ranking inconsistently well. So, he's ranked quite well. He's in page 1, spot 3 here for business coaching, but for, some other relevant terms, he's not, for these two, he's nowhere to be found. Page 1, spot 4 is not terrible, but, there's definitely some room for improvement here. So let's take a look at some of the technicals, shall we? So technical SEO, that is broadly speaking, there are 3 different categories of SEO factors. There's hundreds of factors, but as SEOs, we group them into 3 different things: on-site, off-site, and technical SEO. And technical SEO is the kind of the nerdy details, kind of the behind the scenes stuff. As the name suggests, it mostly focuses on technical stuff. So, from the perspective of, these are things that Google looks for. And it's generally the type of thing that you can't DIY without at least a decent knowledge of coding. On-site and off-site, you kind of can, but when it comes to the technical stuff, it's tricky. Anyway, so let's dig in. So pages indexed. We'll start with our client site. So I'm using this tool called Screaming Frog. There is a paid version, but on this machine I have the free version. And the only real limitation is that it will only allow you to scan, at least as far as I've found. It will only scan up to 500 pages, which is usually enough for a local business. No biggie. So it's going to give us a bunch of information, but first of all, it's got to go through our scan. But it's also the key is that one. It's going to give us the number of pages, and the number of pages is important because Google thinks it's important. At the end of the day, that's what we're doing here. We're appealing to Google to say, this is a good website and you should rank this website because it's good. And Google likes to see pages that are, or websites that have a lot of pages indexed. What does that mean? It means the number of pages that Google knows exists on your website. And once again, just a reminder, feel free to ask any questions you like in the chat box. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this whole process. So the more pages you have on your site, according to Google's logic, the more likely it is that you have the information someone's looking for because you just have more information, period. Does that make sense? And so when they're deciding who they want to rank, they will rank, everything else being equal, they will rank the website with the largest number of pages the highest. So SpectrumX has 33 pages indexed. Now, sometimes you have pages indexed that should not be. So, for example, what does that mean? That means if you're running a WordPress, it will be your WordPress login. If you have a blog, it would be like tag pages. Just in general stuff. These these lightbox pages, are they, I probably shouldn't be indexed. Let me take a look and see what it looks like in the browser. Yeah, that doesn't need to be indexed. Okay, so there are two page 3 pages here that don't need to be indexed. So we're going to mark those down on the list. And we're going to say 3. So that gives us total quality pages indexed is 30. So he has 30 indexed pages on his site that Google wants to see. Okay, so, also errors. He does have one. These are errors where, for one reason or another, this page cannot be loaded. So that's bad news. Google doesn't like to see those. So I'm going to go all the way through SpectrumX first, and then I'm going to do all the competitors, and then we can compare them. But there are certain ones, now that I said that out loud, that I'm going to do all at once. So whatcms.org, that is something that we're going to do all together. So what's a CMS? CMS is a content management system. And that is the platform on which you built your website. This one says it detects 530 different content management systems. So Wix is an example of a content management system. It's an example of a very crummy content management system from an SEO perspective. No offense to anybody who's watching who uses Wix. It ain't great, so I don't recommend using it. Okay, so Stratford Managers uses WordPress, but they're using an old version, 5.4. And I believe the latest version is 5.5. So that's not, it's good to use WordPress, but it's not good to have an outdated light speed. Oh, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if this one was hand coded, because look how old this thing is. Is there a date on this anywhere? Yeah, this is an old website. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't have a CMS, if it was hand coded. So, there's nothing wrong inherently with hand coding. But if you're doing SEO, it just doesn't make sense, because there's already so many solutions to optimize a website for search engines through an existing CMS. So there's just no reason to do so. Webflow. I must admit, I have never heard of Webflow. I'll have to do some research to find out if it's terrible or not. But these guys are definitely not good. So we're going to give them all a big fat red. Wix is really bad from an SEO perspective. I remember seeing a study a while back that analyzed hundreds of thousands of different local business websites and how they ranked. And about 45% of the ones that ranked at the top of Google ran on WordPress, and 2% of them ran on Wix. So Wix is not a very good platform. Okay, so do they have an SSL certificate? SSL, TLS, it's the same thing. These guys do have one, I'm surprised by. These guys do as well. I don't need that one open. I don't need that one open either. In fact, let's get Stratford managers open. And then look at SpectrumX. So what is an SSL certificate? What is a TLS certificate? It's the same thing. It is an additional layer of security on your website. It is absolutely critical if you process credit card information through your website. And it's a good idea to have if you don't, even if you don't, because it's a ranking factor. Likes to see it, and it also helps protect any information going through your website. Everyone has it. It's fairly common to see websites with SSL certificates these days, even if they are a very old website, like the All of You website clearly is. Okay, so this is one of my favorite ones. I don't know why, I just think it's cool. GT Metrics is the site. So what is GT Metrics? It checks how fast your website loads. Why should we care about how fast your website loads? Because the faster a website loads, the higher Google will rank you, first of all, but also the more people are going to stick around and check out what's on your website. So if your website is, if it takes like 10, 15 seconds to load your website, then people are going to stick around and wait for a website that takes that long to load. In general, you've got 10 to 15 seconds to impress upon somebody who you are, what you do, and why a visitor should care. And if it's taking you 10 or 15 seconds just to load, you're going to lose a lot of people. And that's a big one because, oh my God, 20.5 seconds. Wow. Okay, so that is taking way too long to load. We aim for 1 second with our websites. It's not always possible, but it usually is. And there's absolutely no reason, if you know what you're doing, that a website should take more than 3 seconds to load. I don't care what your website is. I don't care how complex it is. If you know what you're doing, 3 seconds should be more than enough. So I also use this tool that Google provides. Page Speed Insights is what it's called. So I like to get two different numbers. I can compare them. And this data comes right from Google. So this is, whenever you can, it's great to use Google's own tools, because they're the one we're trying to appeal to, after all. So we just have to wait for this to load. Might take a while because it takes a while for this website to load. It is a hurtin' minute. Okay. So 21.9 seconds time to interactive. Yeah. Wow. Okay. 21.9 plus 20.5. So that's 21.2 seconds on average. That's absurd. Way too long. I mean, picture it. You're searching for somebody. You don't know who they are. You don't know what your solution is. You just know you're searching for something. And a website takes almost 22 seconds to load. Are you going to sit there and wait? I don't think so. I wouldn't. Okay, so why is it taking so long to load? There's some reasons I can tell, some reasons I can't. So there's 40.2, and then okay, so images aren't scaled. 40.2. Okay, external requests. Okay, so just quickly, optimizing your images. If you're running a website that has a um, visual editor, you'll notice that when you upload an image, if you have let's say your image is 500 by 500, and you want to display it as 200 by 200, there's two ways to do that. You can load your image into Photoshop or Pixlr or whatever it is you use, and shrink it down to size and then upload it to your website, which is what you should do. But what a lot of people do is they just upload the website or upload the image to their website as is and then shrink it down using the visual editor. But the problem is you're still loading your site. You're still loading that image as though it were the full size. So you're adding additional load time to your page without any real benefit. So that's one issue I often run into. I bet, yeah, I knew it. Holy, okay. So here we go. Fewer HTTP requests. What the hell does that mean? So I'm getting into kind of nerdier, more technical realms here, but try and bear with me. So, and again, feel free to ask any questions if you're not sure. If this is going over your head, happy to help. So when you have HTTP requests, that is a request from a from a URL, right? So one of those is going to be spectrumx.ca, and that's fine. And so everything that loads from spectrumx.ca, your browser will load all at once, and then it has to go to the next URL from which it's loading stuff and load all of that at once and then load it again and then load again and then load again. So it's like having, I mean, in this case, carrying 95 individual apples versus carrying a basket of 95 apples. It's a lot easier to carry them in a basket, right? Um, so what is an external request? There's an unlimited number of possibilities for that. Um, it could be that you have an image being hosted from somewhere else that's being called in. That was kind of like an old school thing to do back in like the early 2000s when web hosting was a lot more expensive than it is now. It's kind of out of vogue, but a lot of websites still do it. Um, so there's that. It could also be things like a Facebook feed widget or a Twitter feed widget or just any sort of social widget. Um, also, but they're not necessarily a bad thing. So another example of an external request would be Google Analytics. And Google Analytics is highly recommended to have on your site from a search perspective. Um, so it's not necessarily bad. And the thing is, I don't know what these external requests are. Um, I just know that there's a lot of them. So is it possible that he needs all 95 of them? I suppose conceivably yes, but probably not. So we'll say 95 external requests. That's quite high. And is the code minified? Oh, no, it's not. Um, okay, so I'm going to skip. How many is it? I'm going to skip over to here because it tests two different ways. 26.8 kilobyte size reduction. Okay, so what is code minified? What does that mean? That means basically, is everything on your site loading in order? And so, for example, if this website is taking 21.2 seconds to load, but everything that's above the fold at the bottom of the page is taking like 3 seconds to load, it's still not ideal, but it's not as bad. Versus, and the way we know if it's loading top to bottom is if the code is properly minified. And if it's not minified, then sometimes it will just load random segments, which is not helpful at all. Um, so we want to make sure our code is minified. Okay. So website slow as hell, just absolutely brutal. I'm going to, and at this point, I kind of hop around a little bit. I'll run more than one test at once, just because some of these things take time to do. And I ain't got all day, you ain't got all day. So let's bounce around a bit. Okay, so we're going to use Google's Accelerated Mobile Pages Checker, AMP, short for AMP. Okay, so what is AMP? AMP is a coding initiative developed in concert with Google, and you've probably seen an AMP page before, even if you're not fully aware that that's what it was. So I'm going to show you an example of an AMP page. So they only show up on mobile, and they usually show up if you search some sort of news. Yeah, okay. Are those bicycles or are they motorcycles? Do they count? I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so I'm going to Google something that's newsworthy. So I'm going to Google Trudeau. Okay, and we're going to go to, because I'm Canadian, so deal with it. Okay, so I'm going to show you here. I don't know how well you can see what's on my phone, but on this top result, there is a little lightning bolt right beside, like on top of the image. And if I tap that, it's going to load instantly. So let me see, am I tapping it properly? There we go. See, it just loaded instantly. That's AMP. That's how AMP works. And it's Google developed it, and it is a it speeds up your website. So it's a good idea to have it on your site. Jury's still out among SEOs about whether or not it's beneficial, but we find it to be on the websites that we've integrated it. We see an increase in mobile traffic, so I recommend it. And oh, for God's sake. SpectrumX does not have it. God, the amount of time I waste on filling out CAPTCHAs, unreal. Pardon me. Okay, so let's go back here. Stratford Managers runs at 5.9 seconds, and then, okay, 5.9 plus 10.2. Still terrible. Okay, so that's 8.1 seconds. Okay. Significantly better than SpectrumX, but still terrible. I have to point out, it's still terrible. It's like, oh, I did better than my friend on the math test, but you got a D- and he got an F. Like, you're still not doing well. Okay, so what's their problem? Why are they taking so long? Terribly scaled images. Oh my God. This one single image is costing them half a megabyte. Okay. Okay, external requests, 1724. Still a bit high, probably, but again, I don't have access to the back end of their website, so I can't really say. And their website is minified. It's pretty damn good, close enough. So when it comes to doing SEO, here's one of the tricks. There's no such thing as doing perfect SEO. It just doesn't exist. It's a moving target. Google is always changing what their requirements are, and so you're never going to get 100% perfect, and that's okay because you don't need to be 100% perfect. You just need to beat the other guys. SEO is a race, okay? It's not an exact science. It is a science to a certain extent, but it's also an art, and you can't don't try to chase perfection when you're doing SEO, because you're gonna frustrate yourself. At the end of the day, what you need to focus on is being better than the competition, as well as spending your time in an area that's going to bring you the most amount of benefit. Or if you're an SEO yourself, or you're an aspiring SEO and you want to try and get some clients, you want to be trying to figure out what the best way is to bring value to your clients. And for these guys, they had like 3 kilobytes they could shave off. Will that improve things? Yes. Will it make a measurable difference to your client? Probably not. So don't bother. Focus on where you can really benefit them. Okay, so that's my little inspirational speech out of the way. Okay, I just got distracted for a moment. Okay, so all of you is not an AMP page. I bet they're not even mobile responsive, but we'll find that out shortly. Oops, no, come on. Okay, so we're going to run. Okay, so, oh, they're actually quite fast. Which is not surprising. Old websites usually are quite fast because they don't have a lot of doohickeys added. I mean, this website looks like it was built back in like 2005. So yeah, 2.8 on 2.5 seconds. It's actually quite good. Is there some improvement? Of course, there's room for improvement. 2 kilobytes improvement possible. Okay, external requests. I bet there's like 2. None. That's not surprising as well, because this website is so old. They probably weren't even at the point where they could do, where they even knew about external requests. Whatever. Are they code minified? Yeah, not even a single kilobyte you could save. So yes, good enough. Okay, let's come back to Parit's CFDC. Oh, okay, and they are not an AMP page. Fair enough. I rarely find AMP pages. I mean, I don't. I do understand why, because they're frustrating and they're a pain in the butt to put on. But they make your website. They increase your mobile traffic. So why wouldn't you? I know why, because it's a pain in the butt. But whatever. Anyway, so we're going to let things scan for Perth CFDC, and in the meantime, we're going to move on to. Actually, I'm going to run broken link check because this one takes a while to do. So broken links are bad. Um, when you have a broken link on your website, you click on something and it goes to nowhere. Google finds that to be frustrating, Google's users find it to be frustrating. And so Google will penalize you if you have broken links on your website. Um, so, um, so yeah, we want to make sure that our sites have no broken links. This one takes a while, so I'm going to let it run. So we're going to bounce back over here to this tool called SEO Site Checkup. And this one has a lot of good, it gives us a lot of good information here. Okay, so schema, first of all, we want to find out if they have schema. And they do, okay? So that means we need to investigate further. So we'll say yes, comma, and we'll leave it at that for now, and I'll explain a little bit more about schema later. They do not have a custom 404 error page. So that is a problem. Why is that a problem? So if you have a broken link on your website, let's just create a 404 error right now, okay? So we're going to go to www.spectrumx.ca/ oh no, I made a spelling mistake. And without a custom 404 page, this is what we find, okay? That gives me nothing to go on other than maybe this button at the bottom that says go back home, and that's going to take me to the home page, but it's not even above the fold. Versus if I go to my own website / oh no, and I create an error message, it will give me this, which is not great, but at least we still have the navigation menu that we can click on. Yes, I don't have a TLS certificate. No one uses my website anyway. This is the thing, the cobbler's shoes dilemma. Anyway, so I can still go to the home page. I've still got other things I can click on, that kind of stuff. So I'm still able to browse around. So that means, you know, when you have a 404, the 404 errors happen. You can't control for all of them, but if you have a custom page, then at least you're not going to lose that traffic outright. They don't have a custom 404 error page. That sucks. Okay, so robots. Okay, so they do have a robots.txt page, yes, but they also have the no index tag set up, which is not great. What is a robots.txt and what is an XML sitemap? These are documents that search engines use to read your website. And they, oh, he doesn't have Google Analytics and he doesn't have a favicon, okay. So these documents have been around since the 90s. It's very weird for me to come across a website that doesn't have them. But it also, it's also common for people to use no index in their robots.txt. So remember up here when we talked about the number of pages that are indexed that should not be? So that is, there's different ways to tell Google not to index them. And one of the ways to do it is through telling your robots.txt file to not index those pages. And the fact that somebody has done so on this page, it can cause some issues. So it's not ideal. Okay. So, right, when we talked about schema markup, now I need to forget what it's called. So structured data testing tool. There we go. Okay, so schema markup is a coding initiative put forth by Google, and it with AMP. When they put AMP out, they said, put this on your website. It's probably a good idea, and it's pretty cool. Whereas with schema, they've all but said, put this on your website and we will rank you higher. And how many people do it? Not that many. And the people who do it, not that much. So you can wrap different, You can wrap your entire site and then individual pages and then individual elements on your page in schema code. And what that does is helps Google understand what's on your site as a whole, what's on the individual pages, and what's on the individual elements. So what we're looking at here is the schema code that's being used, and it's not really that useful. So we'll say, yes, incomplete and rudimentary. And a lot of websites do have rudimentary schema because they, a lot of like WordPress themes will come with rudimentary schema built in, for example. So it's not, I mean, it's better than nothing, but it's still not great. Okay, so we're coming back here. 0 broken links. So good for them. Great. All right. Now let's move on to the on-site section of things. So we're going to use, we're going to do our 2-second test, which I just use my eyeballs for. And what is the 2-second test? It is, I want to be able to understand within 2 seconds of looking at a home page. I'm trying to ascertain 3 different things. I want to know who the business is. I want to know what they do. And I want to know why I should care. And so I'm going to click on this page and I'm going to give myself 2 seconds to look at it. And I'm going to see, do I understand this? Okay. I mean, it's actually not bad. SpectrumX, the entrepreneur career coach. That's actually pretty good. I'll say yes. I'll say it does pass the test. Oh, it's white for some reason. Oh. So let's try Stratford managers. I'm going to give them the same test. Okay. I don't know. It's not bad. It's not bad. I hate this background image. I think it looks terrible and stupid. Tell us how you really feel, eh, Sophie? But yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. I'll say yes to that one as well. All of you. I'm already going to say no because this is just a no. This is a catastrophe. Website is old as hell. Community Features Development Corporation. Start your business. I'll say yes as well. I don't think it's great, but it's not the worst. Why do we care about that from an SEO perspective? I'll tell you that as I start to look at the domain age. So SEO touches on a whole bunch of different things. One of them is something called a bounce rate. So if I go to your website and I leave right away, that is considered a bounce. And if I bounce, then what I'm telling Google is I have come to this website, I have found absolutely no value in it, and I've decided to leave immediately. And you can't control for every bounce. Every website is going to get some bounces, but it also means it's not a good sign. So you want to keep your bounce rate as low as possible. What are some of the things that contribute to a bounce rate? First of all, load time. So I don't have access to the information that would give me SpectrumX's bounce rate. Neither do they because they don't have Google Analytics installed. But if I did, I imagine their bounce rate would be incredibly high. So but having an unclear marketing message is also something that'll cause a high bounce rate. So even though all of you loaded pretty quickly, the fact that they have an unclear message, their website is like the oldest thing in the world, um, that's going to contribute to a higher bounce rate. Okay, so anyway, domain age. Um, why do we care about domain age? Google likes to see older domains, not older websites, but older domains. So you understand, SpectrumX.ca is a domain. StratfordManagers.com is a domain. Google.com is a domain. The older your domain is, the higher Google, everything else being equal, the more Google will trust you because they figure, okay, this person's been around for 11 years and 10 months. So they must be doing something right to have stayed in business for that long. There's not a whole lot you can do about your domain age. Like SpectrumX, he created his domain 3 years, 8 months ago. There's nothing we can do about that. But it's good to know anyway. And if you'll please excuse me a moment, I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, everyone. Okay, so let's get back to it. We're going to come back to Screaming Frog, and we're going to take a look at the metadata. So these next, these next three things together, title tags, meta descriptions, and H1, H2 tags. Oh God. I'm going to refer to them as metadata collectively. So title tags, let me show you a title tag. Do you see this right here where it says domain age checker, check domain age of any website by this tool? That is a title tag. If I take a look at, this is probably an H1 or an H2. So it's just the titles on a page. And if I Google anything, I don't know, Dusseldorf. I don't know why that came to my mind. Okay, so right here is the, actually that's probably not one. Yeah, these are meta descriptions. So that is definitely one. Sometimes if it has the parentheses or ellipses, dot, dot, dot. If it has this afterwards, ellipses, that is ellipses. If it has the ellipses afterwards, then sometimes they don't have a meta description and Google is just grabbing something from the page. But all three of these things are great spots to put keywords. Oh, that's not what I wanted to open. Yes, I was listening to System of a Down this morning. Okay, so titles. So we're looking for, first of all, did they bother with meta titles? When it looks like they did, so that's good. And we're also looking for keyword placement. Business coaching. It's not bad, actually. I'll give them an 80%. Definitely room for improvement, but it's not bad. Meta descriptions. Now, this is the spot where you can really do a great job, but you can also really screw it up. And they've screwed it up. Okay. So let's go to, let's go here. Remember before when we said the more pages indexed you have, the better, because Google likes websites that have more pages on them, and that's true. So when unscrupulous webmasters, which we called ourselves back then, when they would find, when they first heard about this, they were like, oh, more pages on your website, huh? Okay, no problem. And then they would make like 800 copies of their whatever page, and then they would skyrocket to the top of Google. And obviously that's not what Google was going for. And so what they would do is they started punishing people for duplicate content. And often I see this. There's duplicate content in the meta description. Not good to see. So unfortunately, in a way, they would have been better off if they had just left those blank. So these three are for pages that shouldn't be indexed in the first place. So, haha, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I'll give them maybe like 30%. Okay, so H1, H2 tags. Just having them is not really enough. You want to have keyword placement, and there's no keyword placement here at all. So I'm going to give them a 0%. There are no keywords there. So it's yeah, not good. Okay, average words per page. Okay, so here's another thing that we want to take a look at. Why do we care about the average number of words per page? Let me put these in order to make sure I'm only getting indexed pages. And this goes back again to the amount of content you have on your site. So again, all things being equal, Google would rather rank somebody with more information higher because they're more likely to have the information someone is looking for. And that is true as well with the amount of information on the pages. So their average number of words per page is 284 words. That's not a lot. So we want to see, I mean, minimum 600 words, depending on the niche, maybe 800 to 1,000. I've written up to 3,000, up to, I think 4,500 was the most I've ever written for a page, which is a lot, to be sure. But yeah, it's important. Okay, so going back to document here. Okay, so uncategorized blog articles. I did not see any. Stop opening Spotify, Sophie. You're opening Screaming for the icon kind of looks similar, you can tell. I'm going to close Spotify so I don't keep doing that. And unpin it from the taskbar. Okay. Uncategorized blog articles. I mean, there's not much I can say about that other than Google doesn't like it. So, look at the blog, in fact. Where even is their blog? Like, he clearly has a blog because, okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, it looks like we're good here. I don't even see any, yeah, it seems to be good. No, so that is a good thing for no. And just to get it out of the way, we're going to get the average number of links per page, because it's the last thing we need to worry about for Screaming Frog for this client. Backlinks are a thing that people know about. In general, everyone seems to know, if they know anything about SEO. If I like to tell people I do search engine optimization for a living, and the most common response is, what's that? Sounds fancy. But also people will say like, oh yeah, that's that thing with like the, um, the keywords and the backlinks and that kind of stuff, right? And it's like, yeah, it is. Okay, so 15. So backlinks are important. I feel like that's something I don't really need to explain. Anyway, okay. So we're done with Screaming Frog for this client for now. Let's take a look at who is mobile friendly. I should have had this scanner going for someone else, but hey, no problem. Okay. So we want to scan for mobile responsiveness. What does that mean? It means, does your website look good on mobile, on desktop, on a 2000-inch TV, on a projector screen, on a tablet, whatever. A modern website absolutely should be mobile friendly. And this tool not only tests to see if your website is mobile friendly, but also if your website is, if Google considers it to be the right kind of mobile friendly. SpectrumX is mobile friendly, so great. Yes, yeah, that'll fix itself. I guarantee you all of you is not mobile friendly. I will be shocked if it is. Are we scanning? Yeah, we're scanning. Okay, great. In the meantime, let's start scanning Stratford managers with Screaming Frog. Unfortunately, I may have to cut this one a little bit short, but I'm going to do my best to get through the rest of this as quickly as I can, because I really like to show you guys this stuff. So I'm going to run as many tools at the same time as I can. Are we done with GT metrics? Oh no, we're not. We didn't do Perth. Okay, so we're scanning a bunch. Okay, so this is where we run into the limitation with Screaming Frog, which is no big deal. It's still going to give us a lot of data. It's a big website. Okay, so it's going to be scanning for a while. In the meantime, let's do the GT metrics stuff. So let's see, not GT metrics, the other one. Okay, so data does not have microdata. Okay, so that saves me having to take a look deeper at it. Robots, it does have robots, but it also has the disallow thing. It has a sitemap, has Google Analytics, and a favicon. So yes, 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 yes. Okay. Broken link check is currently scanning. So we're going to come back to bounce over to GT metrics. And okay, 2.7 seconds. Oh, okay. So pretty big discrepancy. Sometimes we get that. 5.3 seconds. Still not good. Why is it taking so long, Sophie? Tell me, why is it taking so long? Let's take a look. Okay, so we're done with you now. Images are pretty good. Code is minified. What's the problem? Everything looks pretty good. So it might just be one of those things where I can't tell why it's taking so long. Not without having access to the back end of their site. It happens sometimes. Okay. Okay, so we're done with G2 metrics. Let's take a look at how all of you looks on SEO site checkup. Are we done with you? Oh, geez, you're still going. Wow. Okay. Okay. How we doing? Still scanning, still waiting, still sitting around. Right. Okay. Coming back here. There is a 0% chance they have. I'm going to check anyway. No, of course they don't. Okay, robots. No robots.txt, no sitemap. They do have Google Analytics, but they don't have a favicon. Okay. No, 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 no. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so they got nothing going on there. Let's come back to, let's go to Screaming Frog now. Okay. And here's a tricky part because it has stopped me from fully taking a look at the site. So we can see there are hundreds of pages, period, here. But there's also a lot of pages that are not indexable. So I mean, I've got no choice but to say they have 57 pages. Probably a little bit more than that, but they also have a lot of unindexed pages. So I would be surprised if they had, but also like some of these are, why do they even exist? So stratfordmanagement.com/contact. But I also see, okay, stratfordmanagement.com/, okay, so it's a 301 redirect. Okay, never mind. That makes more sense now. I don't know, is there anything here that shouldn't be? No, they all look good. Okay, so nope. 57, okay. So let's go through all of the Screaming Frog stuff for this guy. Broken link checker is still scanning. Oh, he did have 2 broken links. But broken link checker might come up with more of them. He had 2 404 errors, my bad. Okay, so he's got a lot of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 so far. So clearly more than 2, but that's okay. All right, let's go to their title tags. Not really any keywords. Yeah, not a lot of keywords. I don't know. I'm going to give them maybe like 30% for each of those. Yeah, I don't know. H1H2 tags. So again, no keywords, nothing at all. Collected management wisdom from Stratford manager. Not, yeah, there's almost nothing going on keyword wise. So I'm going to give them kind of the same score here. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the number of words per page. That about as far as we should go? No? Okay, we should go this far. Trying to guess. Didn't work out. That's okay. Okay. All right, let's see. So, okay, 910 words per page. That's much stronger. Much stronger than SpectrumX. And sometimes my clients are not happy that I give them bad news, but what can I say? You're not paying me to be nice to you. You're paying me to be real. Okay. So now we want to find out, do they have uncategorized blogger? They do. They have 24 of them. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, bad news. Great. Yes, they do have a blog. Okay. And one last thing, we're going to find out what their average number of links per page are. Okay, so 46. Okay. 6 links per page. Cool. Okay, so let's go back to the, you know what, I'm going to start Screaming Frog for all of you. Screaming Frog is my least favorite tool, so I try to get it out of the way as much as possible. Why is it my least favorite? Honestly, I don't know. I have no idea. Just like that, I guess. Stratford Managers is mobile friendly. Okay. Where is that one here? Try all of you. I would be absolutely shocked if this one was mobile friendly. Absolutely shocked. A motorcycle? I don't know, maybe. Page is not mobile friendly. How shocking. How shocking. Okay. So Page is not mobile friendly. Why do we care about Page being mobile friendly? Search traffic is, generally speaking, about 50% desktop versus 50% on these things. And if Google does not, gather my thoughts here for a moment. Google likes to rank pages that are mobile friendly on mobile devices. So broadly speaking, they will not rank a page that is not mobile responsive unless there are no other options. Okay. So if your website is not mobile responsive, and not like actually properly mobile friendly, make a mistake here, then it's going to you're going to lose out on about half of the traffic that you could be getting. So it makes a really big difference. Yeah, just make a mobile responsive page. It's 2020. There's no reason not to. Um, why are you doing this? Okay. Let's go to GT Metrics. Not .ca, .com. Okay. Here, we're going to scan that. And in the meantime, let's hop back over to Screaming Frog and see how we're doing. Allofyou.ca. Have we searched that yet? We have not. Okay, so we're going to start searching that. And in the meantime, I'm going to come back to, okay, we've already scanned all of you. Okay, so that. And where else do we need to look right now? What's Broken Lake Checker doing? A lot of this thing is like just bouncing around and doing a bunch of things at the same time. It might make me seem kind of chaotic and frantic. And that's just part of the game. So I see there's a few of you watching. Why don't you say hi to me in the comments? I'd love to hear from you guys. See what's going on, why you're tuning in today. Okay, let's go back to. You got any questions? Any concerns? Any snide remarks? Chat. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Kiki, what are you doing? What are you doing? Cat's being a weirdo. Okay, so some of you might be asking, why am I opening and closing this window over and over when I could just be using it in a separate browser or a separate browser tab? Here's the thing. SEO Site Checkup, it's free to use once per day. If you try to use it more than once per day, it will say sign up for a free account in order to check more than one website per day. I don't feel like signing up for an account, so I use this browser, which uses a different proxy each time, which allows me to get around the limitation. So that's why I signed up for enough things. Enough businesses out there have my information. Okay, so we're even scanning now, Perth, right? Okay, so schema, so we're looking for microdata. It does not, great. I love seeing that in competitors' websites, not only because it saves me a click in this, but it also means competition is easier to go up against. Robots.txt does exist. No custom 404 page. Great. Okay, so yes, yes, yes. Was it Favicon? Yes, Favicon is there. Google Analytics, no. Did I tell you guys what a favicon is already? A favicon is just real quick. You see this little thing right up here, the little icon. That is a favicon. Pretty minor thing. But it is a ranking factor. So we like to take a look at it. Okay, so broken links, we're still scanning, geez. Custom 404 page, we just saw that they do not have one. Stratford managers, did they have a custom 404 page? So let's just bang these out of the way. Stratfordmanagers.com/ u.ca/ and cfdc.ca/ okay, page not found, but it is a custom page. Nope. Nope. Okay. So stinkers. No and no. All right. Page errors. They have one page, one findable page. Wait, might be that they're all. Nope, they have one findable page. Okay. Yeah. This is at the point where it's like this website is so old that my tools aren't even scanning it properly. And so that, I mean, we can see that this website has more than one page, right? So like let's go to psychotherapy and counseling. It's a crummy page, but we can see that it still exists. But my scanner can't even tell that it exists because it's just such an old, crummy website. So this one will be easy. 0 for the title, 0 for the meta description, and 0 for the H2 tags. Real nice and simple. 0%, 0%, 0%. No, not 9%, 0%. Okay. Average words per page. I don't even know. Let's see. Word count 0. In links 0. Okay. 0. Blog, no. Categorized blog articles, no. But that's because there's no blog in the first place. This site is terrible. And I know I've already said that, but it bears repeating. This site is terrible. The only thing that's good about it, well, two things are good about it. First of all, it saves me time in having to analyze it. And second of all, my client will have an easier time ranking. All right. Oh, that was fast. Okay, so this is a fairly small site. There are 12 pages. Should anything not be indexed? No, we're good. 12 pages, 0, 12. Okay. Are we ever going to be done scanning this one? Jeez. Big site. Okay, so you know what? At this point, like, we found more than 1,000 broken links. So I can just say more than 1,000 links because if this were the client's website, I would go through exhaustively and say, look, here's each one of them so you can go and fix it. But the reality is my client is not going to go to their competitors' websites and fix them, right? So it's just enough for them to know their competition is a disaster. So 3 404 errors on their site. Um, and so broken links will just say more than 1,000, which is astronomical. Not that hard to fix a broken link. It takes about 30 seconds. No reason for it. You can even get, if you're using WordPress, probably with other CMSs as well, you can get a scanner that will alert you and tell you when you have broken links on your site. Only one free request yet left. All right, well, that's new. Okay, let's come back here. Take a look at the okay, so titles. I don't know, maybe 10%. A little bit of keywording in there, but not much. 0 for the meta tag descriptions because there's nothing at all. Call us. We want to help. Again, no keywords. So I'll say 0% again. Not in good shape. So word count. Everyone sucks, y'all. In this niche, everyone sucks. 358. Let's round up. Blog. No, it doesn't look like they have a blog. Do they have a blog? Stories. No, they don't have a blog. Okay. And in links. The last thing we need to worry about from Screaming Frog. Good timing because I've only got 20 minutes left before I got another phone call, so I got to wrap this spicy boy up. Oops. That can't be right. I copied the wrong list. That's why it's exactly the same number. Okay. So last thing I'm going to do, it looks like, have we completed everything? Everything except the broken link scans. Do they have 404 errors? Got 3. 404 errors. Okay. 3. These guys, how are they doing? 7 broken links, and they're all 404 errors. Okay, so links 704 errors. Looks like I can't do another broken link scan. Apparently I can run another scan. Okay, so yeah, that's never popped up before. It must be a new limitation on the service that clearly they haven't implemented properly. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to take a look at is SiteMiner. I know there's a whole bunch more stuff down here with Google My Business and social, but unfortunately, I just don't have time to do them today. So I'm just going to do SiteMiner. if you want to get to know how those work, I've got other videos that you can take a look at. So what we're taking a look at here is we're going to scan for duplicate content. We talked about so what this tool does is it scans through the site and looks for duplicate content, which we talked about is an issue. So I'm just going to go back to all the actual pages here. Okay, so we know in general that Google does not like to see duplicate content. How much duplicate content is acceptable? The average is around 19 to 20% on websites. I don't exactly know how much Google decides is okay and not okay. I just know it's an issue, so we try to limit it as much as possible. Now, his duplicate content is quite low, 11% duplicate content, and 11% duplicate, 11% common content, which is something that Google recognizes as something that would naturally appear on multiple pages. So an example of that might be a call to action that you use at the end of your page. You know, that you would use that on multiple pages. It would just be a natural thing. And that's not, Google's not going to penalize you for that because they recognize it as common content. So I generally am reluctant to give a weight to these because again, we don't really know what Google considers when they're looking for duplicate content versus unique. We just know that in general, it's something Google likes to see, a lot of unique content. So yeah, I just look. This is the end. This is getting to the end, my friends. So I'm just going to sit here and twiddle my thumbs while we complete our final scan. Oh God, 781 pages. So anyway, I think I might cut this one off here, just because y'all can see that it's going to take a while, and I think you understand the duplicate content issue. I hope you enjoyed this stream today. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out. My name is Sophie Edwards. You can find me, you can get me via email, sophie@cloudsurfingmedia.com. You can get me on Instagram at SBE Likes Words. And also on Facebook. If you're watching this now, you may or may not be watching on Facebook. You also may or may not be watching on YouTube. So on either channel, please feel free to connect to the other one. And yeah, anything you need to know about SEO, I'm here for you. Hope you have a great day, everyone. Take care.